the one thing that 90s show did so well is that they still use the exact same humor as that 70s show. Hello, Wisconsin! Hey everyone, welcome back to Canon Cinema. My name is Amanda, otherwise known as AMX NDA Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. Today I will be reviewing that 90s show, which is the sequel to that 70s show, and I gotta let you guys know that 70s show is something that I hold very dear to my heart, and it is one of the best series that I've ever watched, but it holds such nostalgia for me because I used to watch it with my uncle, and I shouldn't have been watching it at the age that I was watching it at, but it was just some awesome time that I got to spend with my uncle, who's 20 years older than me, so he's kind of like my older brother, and it was just a lot of fun watching that show when I was younger, and as I got older, I learned to appreciate it a bit more, and the tagline for that 90s show is that times change, but teenagers don't, and you know what? It is the truth, because we all go through the same, like, coming of age journey, you know, in our own different ways, but it's kind of like the same structure, you know? You want to try being rebellious a bit if you're a goody two-shoes, and then vice versa, and you're trying to look for your future, and then even though you have like this carefree type of, you know, lifestyle, this attitude, you still think about the hard-hitting questions of like, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? Yeah, I'm in high school right now, but what am I going to do? And you have these questions that you ask yourself, you know, this realization at the end of like senior year that you're like, shit, I gotta do some stuff. I have to become an adult soon. And it's just a really tough age. It's a tough age. And of course, from the age of like 15, 16, you're trying to find yourself until I think the age of 25. For me, that is when I started coming into my own as an adult. And that's at 25. Because it's like the tester age, the test run. Let's see what the hell's going to happen with our lives. Let's see how many obstacles we can overcome by the age of 25. And I think from 16 to 25, that's probably like the best range that I can describe, that we still are we're kids and we're learning. So the thing here with that 90s show that is just so awesome is that, first of all, not only does it hit the nostalgia of the 90s, because we're dealing with like Eric Foreman and Donna Pinciotti's child named Leia. Obviously, he would name her Leia, which is actually amazing. And it doesn't feel as weird to like hear the name Leia outside of, you know, the Star Wars universe, but it's just so Eric Foreman. It's so Eric Foreman, and I love it. But Callie Haverda, who plays Leia, she does an awesome job, I have to admit, because she's also like the perfect blend of Donna and Eric. I think they really wrote her character well, and it was great to see her develop over the summer that she spends with Red and Kitty. So as I said, we have the nostalgia of the 90s, which I think they did a fantastic job with, because even though I'm a 95 baby, I still grew up in the 90s, and I still remember like Beverly Hills 90210, and you know, the way people dress, the grunge, the music. It was like heavy like rock in the 90s, which I loved. It was all angsty, and you know, like Alanis Morissette blasting in the first episode, like that's just, it's awesome. So I think they hit the nail on the head with the 90s essence, especially with the opening credits. I think they nailed that. But also there's a level of nostalgia for fans going back to those kids born in the 70s, like my uncle. You know, he looks back at that 70s show, understands it, respects it, but now as someone who has his own kids, he can look back at like Eric and Donna and have a different perspective on, you know, how to parent, and have that different perspective entirely on how they were as kids. So I thought that was really nice. It was an added layer, and this show doesn't work. Just like that 70s show, it does not work without Red and Kitty. And honestly, I kind of got emotional watching it, just because there were so many references and callbacks to the original series, but it wasn't like it was overstuffed. This show still has its own identity in the 90s with this cast of characters, and I think they did it pretty well. I liked it. I really enjoyed watching these 10 episodes. The cast of characters, they do grow on you, and you're trying to kind of place who they are from the original cast, but they're almost kind of like blended together, which is awesome. And I like that there's a diverse cast here. It's not like that forced, you know, that it just feels natural. And I think that's also important too, because of the 90s landscape as well. The one thing that 90s show did so well is that they still use the exact same humor as that 70s show. It didn't feel like the 2022 Twitter type of humor that is drilled down our throats. Like, it had nothing to do with that. It's like they completely avoided the current like social climate and how teenagers speak, obviously, because it's a 90s show. And I think that's why it's so refreshing as a series. I just think that this is the type of humor we need. These are the type of conversations we need. It really just brought me back to watching that 70s show and having those life lessons of like, you know, you have to choose between your best friend and your boyfriend, and you have to, you know, make time for everyone. And then you have to think about the future. And if I'm smart enough to be with someone who's so, you know, intelligent and going off to college, like these issues are all being spoken about in this series. And I think that it's a really nice exploration of different characters and different issues that 70s show did as well. You know, they're not afraid to have any like sex jokes and sexual comments. That's a part of adolescence. And I think that Red and Kitty, again, they handle these kids extremely well. And my favorite, the standout for me from the very first episode, was probably Ozzy, who's played by Rain Doy. I hope I pronounced his name correctly, because he is just a little firecracker. I loved him. He was so great. His one-liners, his reactions are great. But he also has a story of his own that I'm not going to spoil for you guys, because I think it's a really good journey with him. And it's something that was integrated properly and kind of in a way that would happen in the 90s. And I think that it's organic to the era, and that's why this works. There are so many great things in that 90s show. People may think it's cheesy, but it's the 90s. You can't use that as like, oh, it's cheesy, why did the sequel happen? It's like, no, that's the 90s. It's supposed to feel like this. For me, it's the humor that has always made that 70s show like 10 times better than other series that were on television. And that 90s show just replicated it perfectly, and obviously, you know, updated it with the 90s you know, slang and terms and stuff like that. So I think that it has the exact same journey. You have to find the footing with these characters a bit. They're trying to find themselves, and that's fine. I think by like the third or fourth episode is when I really connected with these characters. I connected with Leah Foreman. It's the dynamic between Red and Kitty and the kids. It has always been like that, even with that 70s show. Obviously, that 70s show cast is completely iconic for how long it stayed on the air, and it made stars out of so many people. But with that 90s show, these kids can go all the way. I think they all have great chemistry with each other. Some things worked, some things didn't, but I also found that each episode just got better and better. And I would love to see a season 2 of that 90s show, just because I think I missed that 70s show so much. I think that's what it was. Yeah, I like that 90s show. I think it's lighthearted. It's a very easy binge. And I think that if they keep going with this, they probably have a hit on their hands. And I'm really hoping that people stream that 90s show, because it's not only for the fans of that 70s show. Of course, there were moments that happened in that 90s show that like I was cheering. I was clapping at certain lines being said, but more importantly, seeing Topher Grace and Laura Prepon back together again with Kurtwood Smith and Deborah Jo Rupp, like it was just something that really touched my heart. I had tears in my eyes. It was very exciting. I was just happy. I was just happy that we were in, you know, in their house, in their basement, and that we have familiar characters. It felt like going home to Point Place. And I think that they did a great job. I'm going to keep saying that. I enjoyed it for what it was. The most important thing for this sequel is that they stuck to the humor and they did it right. So please let me know who your favorite That 70s Show character is. Okay, I really want to know. Mine, of course, my girl is Donna Pinciotti. I love her so much. She has always been my heart, with like a little sprinkle of Jackie in there. But the women on the show, they had great opportunities to shine. And I think that's why I love both of them so much. The guys were fine, but like Donna Pinciotti and Jackie Burkhart, A-team. So let me know who your favorite character was. Let me know if you're going to watch that 90s show. And let me know in the comments what your favorite show from the 90s was. You guys can always follow me over at AMX NDA Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. I'll catch you guys next time. Keep watching movies.